Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Sunday, July 26th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Ball State game in 41 days, the game against Michigan in 125 days. We're sponsored today by our friends at Jeff Ruby's Columbus, proudly offering nationally acclaimed USDA prime steaks, seafood and sushi, impeccable service, live entertainment, and an attention to detail that is simply unmatched. Just go to jeffruby.com/Columbus to check out the menu and make a reservation today. All right, on today's show, we are counting down the 5 most impactful players on this year's Ohio State football team. I'm going to guess these are all names that you are going to know, and these are probably several names that you could probably already guess even before we started this countdown. A name that I'm sure you could already guess is the name of the person who's going to be guesting on today's show. That is Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeInsiders.com. Tony, let's start that top 5 with the final offensive lineman we got to talk about, and that is Austin Siereveld.
Yeah, Tom, where's he at?
Number 5.
No, position-wise, where's he playing?
Number 5 on the countdown, Tony.
Coming all the way to us from one of the Lakotas, I think, if I recall correctly. But I don't want to say the wrong one because it'll make people angry. But Austin Siereveld, who is really one of the great stories, I think, in Ohio State football over the last decade, because he was not really expected to do much as a redshirt freshman, but they went through that illness in 2024, and he was out there for basically doing double duty in fall camp, and it worked for him, and it got him ready to play in games. And then he became a very good starter at left tackle last year. We started to hear stuff, I think even before spring, like in the winter, like, hey, Austin Siereveld may be the left tackle. And it's like, but come on, that's Ethan Onianwa. And then, you saw what he did last year as a second team All Big Ten left tackle. Expectations this year should be all Big Ten, but where, the assumption now is at right guard, and him and Phillip Daniels together on that right side could be really fun and physical and formidable. And I think there's a lot to like about that pairing.
Yeah, Phillip Daniels is someone that from basically day one that he stepped on the Ohio State campus, he was another guy who last year we were looking at and going, well, in a year we'll be talking about him as a potential starter. And then he just went out and won that job. Both guys were tackles that were not necessarily the guys we expected to be playing those tackle positions when spring ball started, but they just straight up won those jobs. And those are both guys, Austin Siereveld is someone who it was an iron Buckeye last year, which is just you are big and strong and ready to mash people on the football field. And every time people talked about Phillip Daniels, they talked about his mean streak. So I don't know that I would want to be lining up over the right side of the Ohio State offensive line all that often. I don't think that sounds like a lot of fun this year. Austin Siereveld is a big part of the reason why that does not sound like a lot of fun. Number 4 on the list, we're going to go to the safety position. Jaylen McClain. He is finally out of Caleb Downs' shadow, and I think this might be a year when people, after going, the guy next to Caleb Downs seems like he's okay, this might be the year where everyone goes, oh yeah, that's Jaylen McClain, and he's maybe a lot better than okay.
This, to me, is going to be the scene from Field of Dreams where Timothy Busfield can finally see the ghost, and he's like, when did these ghosts get here? It's going to be like, when did this Jaylen McClain guy arrive? And it's like, well, he's been here. He's a junior now, and you may not have seen him last year because he was overshadowed by other players, and he was doing what he was asked to do, being that last line of defense. And when you're the last line of last year's defense, the offense doesn't always get to you because everybody else is making plays. But, man, a coach's dream, the way that Matt Guerrieri and Matt Patricia and Ryan Day, frankly, talk about him, and the way his teammates talk about him, the way Caleb Downs talks about him, he is a Caleb Downs-like in terms of being able to handle what you're asking. Now, Caleb Downs is special and unique, and we know that. But Jaylen McClain is just a football player, smart, around the ball, and I think he's going to be used in a bunch of different ways this year as well. And he could be making some of those impact plays that we've talked about Earl Little making. And I'm really looking forward to it. He's been fun to cover over the years and just been a really solid guy. Started a game or two as a true freshman. Like, he's been preparing for this. So let's see what it looks like.
Yeah, he is number 4 on this list, but he is one of 3 guys who are going to be representing Ohio State as players at Big Ten Media Days this upcoming season. The other 2 guys are people you have not heard on this countdown yet, but you will, spoiler alert, just in a few minutes. But yeah, that kind of tells you a lot about what this team thinks about Jaylen McClain as a leader and as a representative of a team that has a lot of senior or veteran leadership and a lot of returning starters this year. So one of the guys who is a returning starter this year, someone who's not going to be in Chicago, but I don't think that is to anything says anything about him other than he has a lot of very good teammates as well. Number 3 on our list, Kenyatta Jackson. He is someone who I think going into last year, we had expectations that Kenyatta Jackson was going to have a very good year, and he lived up to those expectations. I have expectations this year that he is going to sort of continue to build on that, because he is, we have sort of gotten little glimpses of him in some leaked photos, and boy, he looks even bigger than he did last year.
Yeah, and he looks like a creative player. He's 6'6", 260, and is still lean, and is a guy that you mentioned. Yeah, he's not going to be in Chicago, but he is a leader. At the 2024, after the 2024 season at the NFL Combine, talking with Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau and Ty Hamilton and Tyleik Williams, they were pointing at Kenyatta Jackson as the next leader of that defensive line, and that was last year for last year, and now he's back. And I keep saying I expect him to be a first-round pick just because of the potential, and he has produced. He did have a good year last year. I think he's going to be asked to do more this year, and I think he's looking forward to that. I think he's very capable of that, and I could see double-digit sacks. I don't think that's too far. I don't think that's too much to ask. It really just comes down to how much freedom, not even freedom, just how aggressive they are with them, or are they asking him to contain more than get upfield and get the quarterback?
Yeah, it feels like whatever they ask him to do, he's going to be able to do it, and it's just a question of how much is that going to show up on the stat sheet this year. But that's that's a spot where they could potentially take another step forward. The other defensive end position, I think that's a question mark. Whichever side of the ball, wherever Kenyatta Jackson is this season, that is going to be less of a question mark and more probably of an exclamation point. So number 2 on our list, quarterback Julian Sayin, and he's a Heisman finalist last year, so it takes a lot to be higher on this list than a Heisman finalist from last year. I'm sure you can guess who number 1 is, but let's talk before you talk to the guy, talk about the guy who Julian Sayin is going to be throwing the football to. Let's talk a little bit about Julian Sayin.
Yeah, Julian Sayin also famously has not won the Biletnikoff Award, but he is I believe the only returning Heisman finalist from last season, and put up very good numbers last year. And what you want out of a quarterback going from his redshirt freshman year to his redshirt sophomore year is somebody who completely owns the team, the locker room, the playbook, all of it. Last year, he's a young quarterback, a first-time starting quarterback. Now he's a quarterback. He's a starting quarterback. He's your leader. You can't have any of those other qualifiers and excuses in terms of, well, it was the first time he's ever doing something. So, of course, it's going to be you can't go into a Texas game protecting him and not asking too much of him. Now he's to the point where you ask everything you can of him, because this may be the last year he's at Ohio State. So you're not going to be waiting, well, next year we'll get to it. There may not be a next year with him. And with his accuracy and with everything that people have talked about, with his anticipation and all of these different things, the way he throws the ball, don't hide any of it. Use it all. And I don't think they plan on hiding any of it. And frankly, they can't afford to hide any of it because of this schedule and the fact that you can only afford maybe 2 losses in the regular season, and maybe not even that many. So this is acceptable. Tom, number 2, not a slight. We'll see who number 1 is. But as long as there's somebody who's better at number 1, then this is okay.
All right, so I will let you take multiple choice. You can decide who is number 1 on the list. Is it punter Joe McGuire? Is it, true freshman wide receiver Brock Boyd? Or is it junior wide receiver Jeremiah Smith? You can choose whichever one you feel is the most defensible choice for number 1 on this list.
How about Australian Jeremiah Smith? That would be...
Broiky.
That would be... Now, this is Tom. When you're putting your list of 40 players together, you started with this one, and then you built backwards with that. I understand you reverse engineered the entire list. I get it, and for everybody else would do the same thing, Tom. So no shade to you, but it's interesting where even as a freshman, some people are calling him the best player in college football, and then last year it was just a given. He's the best player in college football. And so this year, is he probably still the best player in college football? Who's better? Tell me, Tom, you're making all of these lists. Give me 40 players who are better than Jeremiah Smith. But the production also needs to equal the hype and the expectations. And that comes down to more than just him. It also comes down to his teammates helping him and all of these other various things. But if you're talking about if all of these players, if all of Ohio State's players were free to be drafted from other college teams, I think you may have like the top three might be exactly how that. I don't know that the order would be the same, but when you're looking at programs poaching Ohio State, Jeremiah is not getting past two.
No, definitely not. And he might not get past two in next year's NFL draft either. Well, it might be a couple quarterbacks ahead of him, but I think there's a very good chance he is the first non-quarterback off the board in next year's NFL draft. Unless, of course, Tony, he chooses to return for his fourth and perhaps even fifth season at Ohio State. You can't tell me it can't happen. You can tell me it won't, but you can't tell me it can't happen. So you never know. 2027 Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, I wouldn't count on it, which means you should probably enjoy 2026 Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith while he is here. And the best way to enjoy Jeremiah Smith is by joining our site, BuckeyeInsiders.com, where we talk about Jeremiah Smith and a whole bunch of other stuff related to Ohio State football and Ohio State basketball and Ohio State, a whole lot of other stuff. Every day, we got our team of insiders covering the Buckeyes, covering recruiting, covering X's and O's, covering basketball. We got a little bit of something for everyone there. Plus a very fun and active community on the Insiders board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. Really, really fun community. Really, really enjoyable group of people who have seem to really enjoy spending time together, which is a rare delight on these internets here in the year of our Lord 2026. So we would love to see you there at BuckeyeInsiders.com. We would also love to see you at Jeff Ruby's Columbus, another place that is delightful to be in 2026. Proudly offering nationally acclaimed USDA prime steaks, seafood and sushi, impeccable service, live entertainment, and an attention to detail that is simply unmatched. Just go to jeffruby.com/Columbus to check out the menu and make a reservation today. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.